6 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order, please. If I could, we want to welcome everyone to the June 20th regular City Council meeting. Also, I'd like for everyone, if they would, to turn off their cell phones, and if you would, stand and join me in the pledge of flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, mayor's comments. I have one item to add to the agenda, and it's reference to, I'd like to make it under new business item G, which would be a sewer purchase from Forsyth County, reference Ron Green property on Highway 20 at the Chattahoochee River with the council's approval. Hear a motion to add that to the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. Also, I'd like to comment in reference to, I've had several contacts by people not only in the city but the county, but especially the city residents with, got a recent tax assessment, and most all of them has talked about their increase in the property taxes from Forsyth County Tax Assessor's Office. So I would just like to comment that maybe the tax assessors and the commissioners, with the support of the commissioners, Forsyth County Board of Commissioners, could go back and look at the city properties and review the new assessments that's been sent out, because some of them has gone up extensively high from what I've seen. So, and we might want to send a letter to the Tax Assessors Board and copy the commissioners in reference to this with the board's approval. Any thoughts from the board? I don't know where any of y'all have heard any comments, but I've heard a good many comments in reference to the assessments.
I got a stack of them myself.
Okay. With that said, then, if with the board's approval, we'd send the tax assessors a letter requesting additional review on the city properties tax assessments, and send the letter to the Board of Assessors and also the county commissioner's copy.
I'll make a motion that we do that.
Okay, I have a motion from Chuck. Have a second. Second. All in favor, but please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, consideration the adoption of the agenda. Did I hear a motion? Any corrections or anything with add-on?
To adopt the agenda as amended.
Yeah, got a motion to adopt as amended. Have a second?
Second.
Please vote. Looks unanimous. Okay. Executive session. I think there's a need for executive session.
There is, Mayor. We'll have a need for an executive session to discuss pending or threatened litigation. If it's the pleasure of the council, we can take that up at the end tonight.
Okay.
We want to go through the regular business meeting to allow everybody who's only here for the regular business meeting to stay and see that and then leave.
Okay, the executive session, did I hear a motion to take that up at the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, adoption. I assume everybody got a copy of the minutes of May the 16th, regular city council meeting. Is there any corrections to the minutes? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve them.
I have a motion from Lewis. Have a second.
Quincy did.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Quincy did.
Okay. Please vote. Unanimous. Okay, executive session, May the 16th. Have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve them.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. No proclamations or resolutions. Under old business, we have a master right-of-way license agreement. John Hurd.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'd like to defer to Kevin Talon, our city attorney.
Okay.
This is this is the master license right-of-way agreement that we talked about briefly last month. We had a presentation from Mobility. I know the council has some concerns about it, and we've not had a chance yet to address all of those. We're still within the time frame that we can use to continue to work on this agreement. So if it pleases the council, we can get that prepared for the, I can get all the concerns of the council, get that prepared for you for adoption next month. I don't think any of the concerns necessarily that are left are huge, but they're important ones, and we need to make sure that they are addressed because, well, frankly, because they need to be addressed before we're going to bind ourselves to it.
Okay, I had several issues with that, and we haven't had a chance to discuss them, and maybe I discussed it with some of you, council, but I'd entertain a motion to postpone this Mobilite right-of-way easement agreement until next meeting, until we get it more affirmed. So with a motion,
I'll make a motion.
I got a motion to table it to the next meeting. To have a second?
Second.
The next regular meeting, which will be July. Got a motion and a second. Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item B, under planning and zoning, comprehensive plan. Scott?
Yes, sir, Mayor, members of the council. You have in your packet a final version of the comprehensive plan that's been approved by the Georgia Mountains Regional Commission as well as the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. They reviewed the document, made some comments. We made some minor revisions to it. You also have a letter in your packet stating, from Georgia Mountains, stating the plan has been, is in conformance with the Georgia Planning Act as well as the rules and regulations. And there's actually a summary table accompanying that letter which states some specifics about the plan, its form, and its approval. There is also adopting and authorizing resolution in there, and what I'm asking is that the council vote to authorize you, Mayor, to sign the adopting and authorizing resolution. And we can forward that at that point to Georgia Mountains, and then they will in turn forward it to the Department of Community Affairs, and we will have our qualified local government status maintained.
Okay, question, under the comp plan, there can be some changes still made in the comp plan, even though it has been reviewed by the state and federal local agencies.
Yes, sir, there can, as long as any of those changes, of course, don't come in conflict with any rules or regulations from the regional or state folks, then we certainly can make changes.
Okay, and to affirm the transactions, the ordinance will have to be drafted on it anyway. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. What we'll do, the comprehensive plan would sort of set the framework, the guideline for any ordinance changes we might make in a future time, and that, of course, is an entirely separate process, and would be done by staff, both planning and legal staff, and come back to the council for discussion and review at a later time.
Were you
Council have any questions?
I do. Were you satisfied that the changes were made in accordance with the public meeting that we had? We had an open meeting and we talked about numerous issues. But do you feel like that the plan was revised in a way that it gets us what we were looking for as a result of that public meeting?
I do. I feel both based on the meetings we had as well as the questionnaires that we'd received online, we did make some revisions to the document based on those, and I believe that they were, those revisions are in conformance with what was asked for. Of course, it's like anything, you can't necessarily please all the people all the time on everything, but I think that the spirit of the revisions we made were in conformance with what was asked for.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another question. I know when the committee sent this to the board for review, it was under apartments, I believe it was. They could build up to 30 units an acre, and we're working on traffic congestion, trying to widen roads and do bypasses and so forth. That's what we're working on. That 30 units an acre was taken out. Is that
Well,
right?
it's still in the zoning ordinance, but it's in there with two caveats. First of all, it's in there only allowed in the central business district and the downtown district. And secondly, it has to come before the mayor and council for approval for anything of that nature. Now, so that's still in there, and that's part of what we will do now that we will go back and revisit the zoning ordinance. Now that the comprehensive plan is adopted, we'll go back and revisit the zoning ordinance, and if the council, of course, still wishes to, we'll remove that out of there. But
I think it was consensus of this board whenever we sent it that they wanted to remove that 30 units an acre out of the.
yeah, it'll be, if that's what we still want to do, once we get to the ordinance, the zoning ordinance revision, then we'll remove it at that time.
So that's one of the items that can be removed.
That's correct, yes,
that
sir.
call, okay.
Yes.
All right. Any other
The-
questions?
the-
Council, have any questions?
But just to be clear, the 30 acres per unit is in our current zoning ordinance, and it has nothing to do with the future development, but the comp plan allows us to change our ordinance.
That's correct. And you
In a
you
way
can
to
change the
take that
ordinance,
out,
you can
right.
change the ordinance with or without the comprehensive plan. It's just that when you adopt a comprehensive plan, you know, you're setting a guideline, and you wouldn't want to go ahead and make changes in the ordinance that would be completely opposite to what might be recommended in the comprehensive plan. But at any time at all, you can make changes to the zoning ordinance any time of the year. It's not, you're not limited to only making changes in the zoning ordinance when we review the
Well, the
comprehensive
comp
plan
plan
and update it.
Well, I think the board has made it clear, though, we don't want 30 units an acre, and a long way from that.
That's been in existence.
Especially, we've got a lot of congestion, especially in the afternoon in the city with two state routes that comes right through the middle of town
That's
here.
right.
And I don't think we need that.
Exactly.
So we
So
want to
we-
be sure that can be ordinanced out of the.
Yeah, when we get to the
Comp
point
plan.
when we come and review the zoning ordinance in looking in light of some of the recommendations, guidelines of the comprehensive plan, we can remove that out of the central business district
Okay.
as it exists currently in the zoning ordinance.
Will we address the changes to MU at a point in the future? 'Cause I know
Well,
we had
that's
to ratify
obviously
that.
what we'll do. One of the things that we'll also come back to you with is, you know, there's been a recommendation made in the comprehensive plan for a new mixed-use district.
And that's my understanding. The comp plan is a recommendation to look at drafting an ordinance for that mixed use or suburban, whatever we want to do, but none of that is allowed until we adopt an
Actually,
ordinance.
That's right.
I'm very familiar with that, but I didn't want the impression to be that we were going to support 30 units an acre. We know we got to have an ordinance that will legalize 30 units an acre, but
But we already
the
have an
impression
ordinance
is
that
that we
legalizes
would
that.
allow 30 units an acre.
We do have an ordinance that legalizes that currently.
We do right now as it currently exists, but obviously, you know, in the 14 years that we've had that in the central business district, we've never had a request for that type of density in the downtown area.
I'm glad to take it out, but the comp plan wants to take it out. The way we worked it wanted to take it out too, but it's currently there. It's been there for 14
It
years.
is currently there, but as I said, when we address these other revisions in the zoning ordinance based on the comp plan, we can remove that language as it
Okay.
exists. But in answer to your question, no, it does not. The comprehensive plan does not establish the ordinance. The ordinance, you know, will stand on its own in light of the comprehensive plan recommendations.
I understand that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the request to adopt the comprehensive plan as presented by the Director of Planning and Zoning.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the plan as presented.
Have a second? In discussion? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, under new business, we have the GMRC council appointment. It's recommended that the RDC appointment will be Robert Long. He is, I understand, has been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for several years, economic development, and he also has been appointed by the commissioners for South County, and this will be a joint appointment, and I'd recommend to the council that he be appointed to serve as a joint liaison for the city and county at the RDC meetings. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a second? In discussion? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, under planning and zoning, we have conditional use permit 2017168 Atlanta Road. Scott?
Yes, sir. Mayor's member of the council. Before we open for a public hearing, I would like to read the staff report into the record from the Planning Board public hearing last month. And you have a copy of the staff report in your packet. The property owner has made application to the proper authorities for a conditional use permit to allow outside storage in the Highway Business Zoning District. The property owner has requested the conditional use permit so he can store boats, RVs, trailers, etc., on the property behind and adjacent to his business. This business is Mr. Leonard Barnett's business on Atlanta Road. He has agreed to gravel a storage area and install a screen fence and locked gate to secure the property, which fronts Allen Street behind his business and is consisting of approximately 1.5 acres. There is an additional 0.4 acre tract, which we identified as Tract 3, or is identified that way on the survey, which fronts Atlanta Road adjacent to his business, that is currently partially paved. You may remember that was a former location of an used automobile location. The Planning Board held a public hearing on May 16th, and with no opposition present, voted unanimously to recommend approval of the conditional use permit with the following two conditions. Condition number 1, Tract 3 is to be fenced, screened, and secured in its entirety. And condition number 2 on Tract 3 require a planted buffer 20-foot deep from the property line along the frontage with Atlanta Road, consistent with a mixture of several different varieties of trees. And those came as a recommendation from our street department. I'd be
Okay.
happy to answer any questions before you open the public
Council
hearing.
have any questions before we open for public hearing?
No question.
Thank you, Scott. I hear a motion to open for public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Have a second? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Anyone like to speak in favor of the conditional use permit 2017168 Atlanta Road? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Hear a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second? Have a second?
I'll second it.
Please vote. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? We got a zoning conditional use permit for 2017168. It looks like it's been a lot of improvements made. I commend Lynn on the improvements made, and I don't see a big issue as far as I'm concerned with it. So
I make a
what's the pleasure
motion,
of the
we
board?
approve the conditional use permit.
I have a motion from Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a second. Any discussion? Lynn, are you okay with the conditions and the way it's presented? Okay. Got a motion and a second. Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council.
Okay, we have item C, street quote, asphalt quote, Jason McCook with the engineering firm Moreland Attabelli. Jason?
How you doing, Mayor and Council? We received 3 quotes, price quotes from Allied Paving Contractors, Bartow Paving Company, and Jasper Grading and Pipeline. Based on the quotes that we received, I would recommend Jasper Grading and Pipeline for the asphalt resurfacing for this coming year.
Okay, this is, so the council is aware of all of this. This is where the city contracts with contractors that's been approved by the board in case of emergencies, or when issues come up and you already know what the price of the material and everything is going to cost and what his labor cost is already. That's been pre-approved. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So Jasper Grading is the one to recommend to go with the low price on the asphalt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we approve it. Second.
Have a motion and have a second. Any discussion? Any questions? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, item D, Recreation and Parks, Greg Little, fall brochures, be it.
Thank you, Mayor. We have solicited bids for the printing of our fall programming brochure. You can see the list of businesses we solicited from. We did receive 2 bids back in. This is for bids for 28,000 copies of our 16-page programming brochure. The Graphic Edge was the low bid at $4,750. Digital Rio was the other bid we received at $6,286. Graphic Edge has performed work for us in the past, and we've never had any issues, always been pleased with the results. So we recommend that we go with the low bid of $4,750 from the Graphic Edge.
Okay, council have any questions?
Make a motion, we award the bid to Graphic Edge.
Okay, I have a motion from Lewis to accept the low bid of Graphic Edge and Cumming for $4,750 for the brochures for the Park and Rec. Have a second. Second, Quincy. Any other discussion? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, item E, Aquatic Center, quotes for the Aeon air conditioning unit. Carla Wilson, Director of the Aquatic Center. Carla?
How are you? Well, I'm here this evening to request permission to purchase a new Aeon unit for the Aquatic Center. The Aquatic Center's Aeon unit services all of the common areas, not the natatoriums, but the common areas, and it has what was a small leak in the fall when we requested this to be, and it was approved by the Mayor and Council in 2017 budget, has become a larger leak. And we are in need of, it's rather time sensitive, and we are in need of replacing an evaporator coil. However, given that an Aeon unit, the average lifespan is 8 to 10 years, and we've had ours for 6 years, it's the recommendation from Eddie, from Eddie's Refrigeration that services our unit, that we go ahead and purchase a unit to replace the unit rather than, it's more economical to replace the unit as a whole rather than the parts. The parts are, an evaporator coil is $20,000. There's 2 evaporator coils, there's 2 condenser coils. We've already replaced one of the compressors under warranty. We can expect to replace another compressor next year, not under warranty, because we have the leak. We've also got oil leaking from one of the compressors, and that's to the tune of about $10,000. So we do have the state meet coming up next month, and we have some other rather large meets, and we want to make sure that our customers are comfortable. We've recently refilled the Freon to the tune of $1,100. So, I mean, it is, like I said, it is a time-sensitive issue. We've asked, I asked Eddie the other day if it would make more sense to purchase a cheaper unit, but if we did that, then we would have to redo a lot of the duct work. So you would end up spending about the same amount of money and potentially not having as good of a unit. So when I originally requested this in the budget for 2017, it was $37,000, and we got updated quotes in the last month. And as you'll see, they are quite a bit more. And that is because at the beginning of the year, Aeon increased their prices dramatically. So, so we are requesting, permission to purchase the unit, but also additional funds that weren't initially requested in our 2017 budget. So we received 3 quotes. Eddie's was $56,800. All Systems was $55,000, and Reliance Heating and Air was $63,460. Because Eddie's Refrigeration services our units already, and we do a lot of work with them, and we've always been happy with their service. It's my recommendation to the Mayor and Council that we partner with Eddie's to replace the Aeon unit.
Okay, council have any questions? To bring you up to date, this is, as Carla alluded to, this is something that's been going on for, a couple of years, and every time the air conditioner gets low, it gets hot in the aquatic center over there, and call the repair people, and they come boost it with additional gas Freon. And every time they come, it costs us between $700 and $1,000, sometimes more, on that 20-ton unit. You can replace the coil but you still may have the leak somewhere in the compressors. The coil's $18,000, and the compressor, if you come back and have to do that, that's another $10,000, and that's just that one compressor. So, as Carla said, I think it would be to the city's advantage, even though last year when she put it, or this year when she put it in the budget, it was on $37,000, and now the unit is $55,000. So, I think it'd be best to go ahead and put the whole unit in and be done with it and not have to worry about, then it'd be under warranty for a period of time, so wouldn't have to worry about that, so.
What's the warranty on this unit?
5 years.
5 years?
Are they all the same? All the warranties the same
The
amount?
warranty on the new unit would be 5 years. The warranty on the previous unit was 5
You
years.
can't piecemeal an air conditioner.
No,
I mean, it don't
no.
work.
So, this is something that, about the time the warranty runs out, they start going. Used to, they was, would last for about 15 years. Now, 10 years is a long time for them now, so. Anyway, what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion we reinstall.
Have a motion from Quincy to have a second.
I second it.
For Eddie's?
In discussion.
This would be Eddie's Refrigeration.
Eddie's Refrigerations, who's got the low bid?
For $56,800.
They're not the low.
$55,000.
Not the low bid.
Oh, they're not the
Not the
low
low
bid.
bid.
Yeah.
That's
All
why I made
systems
sure.
at 55,000. What was the difference? I mean, what?
Eddie's services it already, and
Yes.
they're based out of Cumming.
And they're based out of Cumming. They
Based
already,
out of Cumming, and they do a lot for the city.
they do a lot at the Aquatic Center.
What is,
already.
okay, yeah, that's good.
We have Aon unit, which is 56.7, and we have All Systems, which is 63,460, and Eddie's Heating and Air is 55,000. So I guess it's because he's local and he does a lot for the city would be the difference, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank
This
you.
as Carla alluded to, 37,000 was in the budget. The balance will be taken out of the contingency. Okay. Okay, under utilities, we have an easement request, Woodland Drive, John Hurd.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the Department of Utilities needs to install a sewer line behind the Sherwin-Williams store off of Woodland Drive. And we've negotiated an easement in the amount of $24,000 with the owner, CEM Investments LLC, and we're requesting approval to buy this easement.
And that's to hook on some sewers that previously hadn't been hooked onto the city sewer system.
That's correct. It will generate 3 new customers, and we have one that's already paid that needs to hook on to out there, and it remedies a bad line, actually.
Okay, we have a request for the easement in Woodland Drive. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we acquire the easement.
Have a second?
Second.
In discussion? Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, item 2, award bid on a 42-inch raw water main. John?
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, the Forsyth County Department of Engineering is widening the Pilgrim Mill Road, and they're widening it from the city limits down almost, well, past Freedom Parkway. And in that project, they're going to impact our raw water lines. We've got 2 16-inch lines and 1 30-inch line, and they're also going to impact our 8-inch water line. We've come up with a design and to replace these lines, also to give us a little bit more capacity for the future as the system grows. It'll give us a little bit more raw water out of Lake Lanier. That was the intent. And we received 8 bids on this project. And if you look at the bids, they're really tight. They range from $4,921,623 up to $7 million. The range is really good. We were very pleased with the amount of bidders that the amount of bids we received, and then also the quality of the companies that have bid on these projects. The low bid came from a company called Strack Incorporated. We've worked with them many times in the past, and they're a very good contractor. If I got to hand pick a contractor, it would be Strack because of the quality of their work. So we recommend accepting the low bid of $4,921,623.00 from Strack Incorporated so that we can get all of our really most critical lines out of the way of this road widening project.
And why are we doing this? Because they widened the
The
road?
county is widening Pilgrim Mill Road from the city limits past, I think, Freedom Parkway.
Does the county have a line running to,
They actually do. They have a raw water line that comes from the lake, but it kind of cuts up by Freedom Parkway, so it's minimally impacted by this road widening project.
Is this what we talked about a while back, that them widening the road has made us need to do it, but the reality is we're replacing it with a lot bigger pipe than what we have now, so it was something on the drawing board anyway, right?
It was something that we hope to do in the future. This has brought it to the forefront.
Right.
You know, we try to plan for the future. If we're going to have to replace a line, we want to make sure we have it sized for what's coming. And we know with the growth of this area that we've got to plan for more water in a bigger water treatment plant. There's some other improvements that we need to make.
And
So
you're-
we've had
you're
this
right,
in mind.
You're right, Chuck. It was discussed sometime early last year. I believe the
I know
county,
we talked about it.
the
a year
county
or so
sent
ago.
us, the county sent a city request for the right-of-way, which the city owns the property at Davis Creek down there where an old lift station used to be, pump station. And that was, council voted for the widening of that road and that for the lines and so forth. And we knew we was going to have to move the water line, so that was budgeted for. John, is this going to have to require any additional purchase of property for the installation of this?
We do intend to buy right-of-way or easements up the side of the right-of-way. We don't do that in every project that we do, but what we found is in Forsyth County with all these roads that are being widened, if we're going to invest $5 million in a water line, we want to put it inside an easement that we own because then we have control over it. For example, if the DOT goes and widens 9 or 369 and we have a water line just outside the right-of-way, then the DOT has to pay to replace that water line because they have to buy our easement and our improvements to that easement. And that's been to our benefit over the past 10 years when we've had that practice. It's been to our benefit and it's enabled us to recoup the money when the state or the county actually widens the roadway. So I believe because this is such a large investment in one of our most critical lines, which is the raw water line, that it would be in our best interest to buy easements right outside the right-of-way, as small as possible, so that we don't impact the property owners, but
So
to
what it
protect
is
the
on
city's
Pilgrim Mill now, it's inside the existing right-of-way, and that's why they're not having to reimburse us for
That's correct.
moving the lines.
So you really
So we don't have the
place-
existing easement.
We don't have an existing easement. That's been the typical practice probably of every city and county in the state of Georgia is whenever there's a road, is put a water line in the right-of-way. But that property doesn't belong to you necessarily unless it's in the city limits. So when you go right outside the right-of-way and buy an easement, and that's what we're working on right now. Some of those are challenging, but we're working on them.
This
as we speak.
$4,900,000 does it include the projected cost of the right-of-way?
No, sir, it doesn't. This is just for the contractor to put the pipe in. We're not sure yet of what the cost of the right-of-way will be, but
And
we're trying to
the
minimize
right-of-way
it
and easements will just be case by case.
case by case. And sometimes it's difficult because the county is buying right-of-way, so they've set the precedent for the value of the property.
I'll make a motion that we accept the low bid from Strack of $4,921,623.
Have a motion to have a second.
second,
Any other discussion? Any questions?
Where does this go, from where to where?
This line will be installed from about the city limits, maybe a little bit further down, the city limits, all the way to the impact is not to 400. There's a segment, I don't mean to make it so confusing, but there's a segment under 400 we're not going to replace because we don't need to right now. That minimized the cost. So it will be from the city limits to 400. We'll leave what's under 400 alone and connect in and go then down to Freedom Parkway because those are the segments of the pipe that are impacted by this road widening project. And, in the distant future or near future, when the growth comes, we may have to replace that little segment under 400 and then we'll have to go from Pilgrim Mill Road up through the woods back to the water plant where our existing lines are. But we wanted to minimize the impact on this project, as low as possible, and use what was still useful to us and not, overdo this project, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Say it one more time.
What size of line?
Well, this line will be a 42-inch line, and it's replacing two 16s and a 30, and it's hard sometimes for me to visualize how that 42 is bigger than the two 16s and the 30, but it is, and it carries more water. There's less friction loss in those pipes. And so we've looked at the future and what we need ultimately at our water plant, and we believe this line is sufficiently sized for the future demands.
You ever have an outage, though, it's a long time.
It's a long time.
Have a motion and a second. Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank you, Mayor
John.
and Council.
Okay, item G, this is, John, also, this is a piece of property on State Route 20 at the Chattahoochee River. That's in the city service area. The city service area goes all the way to the river on the east side of 20. And there's a piece of property that's up for development, and they're needing sewer down there, and the city doesn't have sewer all the way to that area. And this request is to purchase sewer from Forsyth County, which the county has agreed to sell the city to service this area.
Are they gonna pay for putting this in?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Ledbetter. Dr.
Long as they
Ledbetter.
pay for putting it in.
The
It's to
developer
the city's
is.
advantage.
The developer's going to put the line in, and then we're going to purchase, if the board approves, we're going to purchase sewer capacity from the county. Won't be a very large amount. It's for about 3 tracks. Could be like a McDonald's or something going in. And then we will bill them. They'll be our customer, but we will have bought sewer capacity from the county for those properties. And in the future, when we get lines down there, the county's agreed to allow us to, they're going to give us our money back for the sewer, and then we'll connect those developments onto the city's sewer system. I can't talk. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. The request is to purchase the sewer from the county for this 12.6 acre tract of land it's up for development. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion?
How much is it?
12 point something.
We don't know yet.
12.6 acres.
No, but we don't know how much it's gonna cost us to
Not,
purchase.
we don't know how much they need yet,
Okay,
Dr. Ledbetter.
okay,
It depends on the
It'll be
capacity, right?
reimbursed back at a point in time.
okay.
Please vote. Unanimous. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, announcements. We have upcoming plays at the Playhouse. We have Johnny Counterfeit, a voice impressionist and comedian. That's June the 24th at 3 o'clock and also at 8 o'clock. Get in the Habit musical, July the 20th through the 30th, Thursday and Friday, and Saturday at 8 p.m. and Sunday at 3. Upcoming fairground events. Dave's not here, but we have upcoming fairground events. We have the July the 4th festivities going on, and everything will go on at the fairground. That'll happen July the 3rd. So if you want to see the fireworks from the fairground, you have to get here real early because they start filling up. And there'll be food vendors from fair at, and there'll also be a dance contest, which will take place at 8:30 down at the fairground. So anybody that'd like to see the fireworks from the fairground, be sure to get there early. And also Tuesday, July the 4th, will be the steam engine parade, and that'll start at 10 o'clock right here at Treble Gap Road at Kevin's office parking lot right here. That's where it usually kicks off at. And also announced that the Cumming Farmers Market is now open in the parking lot across from the fair. It's open every Wednesday and Saturday from 6:30 in the morning till 12 o'clock. And that's,
So there's a little party goes on Saturday, on the night before the parade and Kevin's parking lot. Don't forget it either.
Okay, yeah, right. That wasn't on here. Anyway, I hear a motion, we recess for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, vote. Unanimous. Thank you very much. We hope it doesn't take too long. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order out of recess. We have nothing to report, and let the record show the meeting's adjourned. Everybody vote to adjourn the meeting. Lewis?
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah, that was,
There you go.
we'll just get
That's fine.